We want to get going here?
Yes.
I'm not the lead, but I'm going to lead, Dirk being out, so.
Blair, can we start with just introducing ourselves again? I feel it's been a while.
Okay, Blair Haney, I'm with SRPC.
Chris Evans.
Drew Stevens.
Kristen Lamb.
Steve Soth,
Mary Colvard.
Sarah Watton.
Tim Gabriel.
thank you.
Great.
The beauty of Alzheimer's, you meet new people every day.
Good. So I obviously have a big piece to talk about tonight, but there's other things we want to go over. If we can do, sort of rapid fire around the room with the status of the various sections, that would be a good deal. I'll do a quick review. The last time I met with all of you was in August, right? And then
It's the last time we met. We didn't have our.
We didn't have a September.
And you didn't have a September
No.
meeting. Okay. So the last time we met was in August, and that was the meeting I was at. And at that meeting, we talked about the workshop, the community workshop, which is going to be a joint one between the housing chapter and the natural resources chapter. We chose a date, and we chose 4 general themes for the breakout sessions. So the date, if you're not aware, is Saturday, November 8th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. It'll be here, but over in the gym. Correct, Tim?
Yes.
In the gym. So it will be here, but it'll be over there. Hopefully we need all that space because your entire community shows up. And
Truly he dreams.
I posted signs up at school.
great, that's good to hear. I was gonna go over that, but yes, so that was like a big piece of that meeting. I don't wanna go into too much detail, but I've been working with Nick, I've been working with Ellen. Nick's been working with the rec department to try and promote it and get it out there. So I've sent it to the different boards and commissions. So hopefully they've shared it around.
Who's Nick?
Nick is the new land use clerk. He replaced Alana.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. I know something went out in the newsletter.
Yeah, Susan Mooney wrote an article
Yeah.
for the newsletter.
Okay.
Just explaining that it would be important to participate, and that it would be key to let your opinion be known and to come and participate to find out more.
Good.
And that's coming out in the
It'll be
upcoming
out.
newsletter, right?
Right.
It's not out yet.
Anyways, we proofed it
Yeah.
and we met yesterday, and I think it's ready to be submitted to the printer, and it'll probably be out before the 1st.
Okay, good.
It's actually it's not enough.
So
Not as much time.
that's what we did. And then the part that I'm gonna do tonight is I refined the themes that we came up with the small group exercises for that meeting. And I sent you all a document that you all have in front of you, and we're gonna go over that. Yeah, you can take
Oh,
these.
here are the extras, here.
Oh, if you wanna send them down, that'd be great. So, I believe that catches us up. With regards to what we did at the last meeting, which kind of brings us to tonight. There's a few other updates I can wait until the end, because I still wanna make sure that we get through the 2 big items, as well as these quick updates. So, anything else from the last meeting? We want to go around the room and talk about these 2. I'll give my updates for the housing and natural resources at the end of the meeting. Drew, Mary, Kevin, Chris, do you want to do a land use zoning one?
Yeah, that's moving along. We, at our last sub meeting, we had a question about where the new data would be sourced from. You helped us to answer that question. I have gone through chapter 4 and essentially tabulated all of the data that's in there and figured out where they sourced it from in the last master plan, so that we can gather our current data sources to make sure everything gets updated properly. It's somewhere around 190 pieces of data in that chapter that need updating. But it's all in a nice spreadsheet now to track and update those values for that chapter. So moving along.
And our plan was that where this data is referenced in other chapters, it would be in agreement across the board. Because I think Drew found some where there were discrepancies from one chapter to another chapter. in terms
It's
of
gonna
data.
happen. That's.
But we can try.
We can try. We can try. You'll just find like sometimes you're drawing from a census source and sometimes you're drawing from an ACS source
The
and
problem was that the data sources were supposed to be the same, but they were different values. So
It'd be
there were
nice if they were
discrepancies that weren't
comparable.
really explainable
okay.
outside of maybe just error.
Yeah,
Um,
it could be.
either error in saying where the source of the data was or error in the actual data value itself.
Okay. Yeah.
Just notice some of that. So putting it all in a
Good. Yeah, keeping an eye on it is key for sure. Data will drive you nuts. All right, cool. Anything else on that one?
Nope, we're gonna have another meeting soon. We just have to get everybody lined up.
All right. Historic resources.
We're getting close on that. We've got a few little pieces we need to do. We plan on having a few photos of some of our historic buildings, but not a lot, just a couple that are here, like the Van Dam Museum and the Old Town Hall, and that sort of thing. And I think we're close.
Yeah, yep.
And then the part that we would like to flesh out more when we meet at some point would be what can we do to encourage the usage, and maintenance of our historic structures.
Yeah. Good. Good.
So that's where we are.
Nice.
One of the things we
Wanna
want
add
to
more?
do is,
Nah, nope.
is reference, for example, one of the historic sites is a trail, so that we can link into the trails that way.
Oh, good. Good. Yeah, nice. That's smart. Okay. Transportation circulation. I don't think anyone's here tonight.
I am, and
Oh, sorry. Yes.
we met 75 times.
You lie.
We lied.
February.
We never met.
Okay. Economic development.
We haven't met since the last time we gave an update, so
Okay.
same.
No, so we just got our evaluation back from Avatar,
Okay.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we can update. That's kind of what we're waiting on to update. A lot of
Yeah.
that data was the valuation. I can say, looking at the 2010 valuation, the total was 322 million. We're at like 1.3 billion,
Oh,
From 2010 to
2025.
really.
1.3 is the total town
About,
valuation,
don't quote me, but it's
Yeah,
over
yeah.
1 billion.
and we were
Wow.
at 880 or something before.
No, 322 million.
That's insane.
No, it
That's a
was
small
like
jump.
830 million,
Big jump.
Yeah.
I believe.
But I think, Tim, you said in '24, they were 800,000.
That was 24 though.
Right.
We're talking 2010, which is what we have to update from the.
Oh, good.
Oh,
West Plan.
I just want to make sure my notes are correct.
Yeah, that was from 2024. This is what's in from 2010.
That's really good. You should buy stock in it.
25
no
years
home you
ago.
do.
I mean, that valuations kind of explains a lot about like the housing issues that we're having right now.
Right.
Your valuations have tripled, but has anyone's salary tripled, God, that's wild.
But our budget hasn't grown.
Tim, has that been sent to the state yet?
We just signed it last night.
Oh, okay, super.
It would be important to look at our budget of what we put into the town and how that relates
What do you mean by that?
as far as taking care of school, roads, municipal services.
Oh,
'Cause our
okay.
budget does not reflect that kind of a jump.
Most likely not. But
Well, one of the things that interestingly, the library made a big deal of reporting how much was donated,
Right.
which is, so in other words, we donate stuff for the Historic Society is donated right away to the town by us keeping the building up. So that's
The
a,
town is not investing in our
well, I see the
municipal.
town, we would like to say what the town is doing to do it. Tim, what are you gonna do about it?
No, I'm just saying the valuation, how that relates to how much is actually realized by the town to pay for the,
Does anybody
People
know how the
dwelling
tax
or-
rate's calculated here?
yeah,
With the economic development, are you gonna be looking at, like, the economics of the city or the town? Or are you gonna be looking at like ways to encourage economic development, like bringing it into the city?
So
Town.
kind of both. We had talked about
Okay.
updating it because I think 3/4 of the chapter is just all data.
Yeah.
And then
right.
the end is, we had talked about, promoting agriculture and, having, well, not having, but promoting some sort of farm stands or something in the middle of town, or because there are a lot of farms that actually now, if you drive around town, there's like every road seems to have a little small farm stand. So, promoting things like that people are already doing in town,
Good.
like keeping that small town.
Good.
So
Yeah, when
just
you're
some of the things we talked
And then also like commercial tax base can obviously offset the needs for the residents. So how can we have commercial tax base that is incongruent with the rural character, natural, the interests of the town?
One thing to keep in mind with all these chapters, when you do your recommendations, I always try to put in what I call low-hanging fruit type of recommendations, ones that are really easy to get done. This does two things. One, it gets accomplishments and be happy. It's like when you do your own to-do list and you write the thing that you just did so you can check it off. Trust me when I say it's important in government where things tend to move slowly, right? We move at glacial speeds here in government. That's just how it is with all the checks and balances and public meetings and public input sessions and everything like that. So having some easy to do low-hanging fruit, you get to check something off. It also builds momentum because hopefully there's other people besides you helping to implement these chapters. And when you have wins, when you get W's, it builds momentum. And then in parallel, you're working on the longer range stuff.
Could you give me an example of some low-hanging fruit?
If you have an open space trail, or if you have an open space, a new forest that you preserved, and you just want to put a sign up, just to announce to everybody that this is where it is and we did this,
Okay.
right? Sometimes people don't know where things are. You do because you guys work in this industry or you work in your community. There's a lot of people in your community that just don't know things that are going on. So doing things like that, has a visual presence, and it doesn't cost much. It's 2 posts and, a sign. You can do really expensive and nice signs, but you can also do affordable ones. Things like that are simple, and they just add to the community.
Thank you.
So think about that when you're doing all of these. Think about your recommendations that you're going to end up with. Think about low-hanging fruit as well as your longer range stuff that's going to take 3, 4, and 5 years to implement. But that's just a general comment on all of this. All right.
I'm just gonna
Go
give
ahead.
the actual numbers instead of just, so the valuation with utilities was $1,472,000,000. In 2010, it was $333 million.
So almost 1.5 billion.
1.1 billion.
Oh, 1.1.
increase.
Okay.
That's fantastic when you go from millions to billion.
Big number.
Yeah.
So I think in one
I
of the
don't
things
know
we
where
talked,
that's seen. Is like, where does that show up?
well, most of it's in the property valuation,
Right,
Yeah.
not utilities.
yeah.
I mean, right now, we have homes in town that are $1 million. That was not in 2010.
Yeah, I mean, that's all in the valuation of the residential properties and stuff.
Is that MS1,
Yes.
is that available at this point?
It should be on I don't know if it's on the town website yet, because Alan's been on vacation. But it should be available on DRA website.
The state would have it, I think, because it is MS1, which I did look up. And it's exactly what you said, it's evaluations.
Community facilities? Tim?
Yeah, that's
We're just working on, the community facilities and parks and recreation are kind of all the same chapter.
Okay.
So just working on all that together. And I mean, we were just talking about it earlier. A lot of it just needs to be updated, and it's pretty easy stuff to find. I mean, like the whole schools thing, I can write that, without even having to look anything up pretty much. It's all, so I mean, and then I've already done all those interviews, and so I don't think that it's gonna take much. It's just the other stuff, I mean, you worked on, it's just updating the information about like the fire and police departments and all the updates that we've done there.
Cool.
Okay.
And last one, energy?
I went through the chapter and I wrote up some stuff and shared it, and we haven't done anything. Except
That's a start.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, you know,
Did we add solar on this building at one point?
I don't know.
We have solar here and at the fire barn,
At the where?
fire station.
Oh, okay. So how's that working?
It's working, from my point of view, great. But that's my view.
Your house, it's doing great? Okay.
No, I mean, for the town, at least, I'm very proud of it.
Pretty sure it's lowered our utilities cost.
I'm sure.
Well, that's-
Significantly, yeah.
That would be an interesting point for that energy
Yeah,
part. Just to kind of look at utility bills versus the cost versus the output, and if that's made any sense or worthwhile.
you're right, it's something we've done now.
Pardon me?
It's something we've done.
Right, but it's like a feather, I mean, since 2010 or 11, when the master plan was done, if that was new, then it might be a feather in the cap in that energy
Well,
section.
there is a discussion of renewable energy for the town itself and renewable for the community and what we're doing to further that. That's there, we just have to make it attractive.
I
Right.
think that might be a good point, is to show, like in that, we could show current calculations and impact both cost and kind of fossil fuels or whatever
Mhm.
wise for traditional coal and
For the same kilowatt hours or
versus,
whatever.
yeah. That could, then people reading it that are making choices on future budgeting or what to invest in, they would have those, like geothermal maybe and solar seem like the biggest or most approachable renewables for our region.
Maybe it's something to add to the school, to cut their bills down.
I think the school's costs are so high because we're finally addressing and giving support to children who are neurodivergent, and we're diagnosing issues. I think we've already talked about that a lot.
Sarah, you're with the school, right? Do you have projections on how many kids are coming into the town over the next 5 years based on births and deaths? And
we have our whole NESDEC report that we get from them every year, and it has our projections, and it goes to the school board. They do it in the spring and in the, like, kind of beginning of the school year, like we just got one, it'll be in this, they're in the school board minutes. It's a whole report that we get as our, part of our, membership to NESDEC. Which is like,
In the deliberative last year, they usually report that in deliberative too.
It seems like, because it's such a discussion of like, well, back in the day, it only
Yeah.
cost this much, like, we should put liability in there, litigious, support staff, para, diagnoses, behavioral specialists, like, you know, so that people can understand what a child cost in 1980, like why there's such a
Right.
difference, because it's not like just how many kids are coming in.
right, and then, but the NESDEC report is based on like, you know, population growth statistics, it's all of our, you know, the census data, job, you know, there's tons of data that they put into it. And it's this whole big, it's a very big report, and it's, they do that for a lot of schools, that, you know, that pay their membership fees, and it's not very much, but, it's pretty accurate, what, you know, they're
Would that be
reporting. It goes
helpful?
all the way out like 10 or 20 years, yeah.
would that be helpful for us planning and master planning for our town to know what the projections of that look like and expenses and enrollment, et cetera?
I mean,
Isn't that
I'll
in the
put all, that's all in the school section, and I'll put some of that in there, yeah.
And I think some of that's in the is that in your chapter of population growth too?
Yeah, it'll be one of the statistics amongst many that'll be in there. You know, historical data plus projections that are out there.
Plus, there's an interesting way in which there's kind of cross-pollination, is that, for example, rec is running a school, a preschool program, so that's education and town facilities.
No, the rec doesn't run a
The
preschool.
rec doesn't run the preschool program.
Well, they're out there.
The rec runs an aftercare
Oh, yeah, I
program in a
misspoke.
summer school.
But I mean, that's a way in which they're complementary.
Absolutely.
Right,
We'll
at the
work
town
with them.
municipal facility or something, yeah.
No, I think they run
The
it.
school, they run aftercare at the school, yeah.
And it's very popular, right?
Yep.
Well, Sarah and Blair, I say that because when you read the survey for the town, if everyone's read through that, a lot of people are purely concerned that adding any sort of housing, this is regarding the housing chapter, any sort of housing is gonna add kids and then blow up the school budget and blow up our taxes, and I think those facts are not necessarily met by our town historically.
Well, I mean, as part of, my job with pulling the report together for the housing chapter, at least, it's gathering that data and putting it into the report. And going into the community workshop, I'll give a presentation at the beginning of some basic information leading into the conversations. But it's not, that's not going to be the central focus of either the presentation or the meeting, is to try to wrestle with the idea of impacts from schools and stuff. Obviously, people are going to come to their own conclusion about housing and education and that sort of thing. But I think the goal for the meeting is to put forth some general ideas, or I guess just to say some general information about the town relating to housing and natural resources. And then, we'll have some Q&A, but really it's about getting to the small group exercises and getting people to work through the issues, the four topics that we've got, and extracting out of them some information, and then making that part of the project. Because whenever I've done this in the past, that's where we've had our most success, is sitting down with people and hearing what they have to say. We're all in this. We're all eyeball deep, right, in this work. When we walk into that room, 90% of the people are going to be like, hearing about housing and natural resources in Nottingham for the first time, right? Sure, they know houses are out there, they know natural resources are out there, but as far as thinking about it from a planning perspective. So trying to bring people up to speed and have this really well-informed, engaged discussion is just not possible in the time frame that we have. So the goal is to try to break it out into pieces, which we're hoping to do with these topics, and then pull out of people some information that will help inform, discussions at this group, and then discussions with the planning board. That's really kind of how this is moving forward.
Again, I'm assuming you've run these before then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I've been doing it for 20 plus years, and I've done at least 4 of these housing plans in the last 2 here in New Hampshire. New Durham, Somersworth. We're doing a second Somersworth right now, and Dover, and you guys. So, yeah. And that's just, they're putting a lot of emphasis, the grant writers or the grantors are putting a lot of emphasis on the outreach engagement. And that's what we've been doing so far. We've done the interviews, we've done the survey, we're doing the community workshop, and then we'll eventually have the public forum where we'll present everything to the planning board and get feedback.
I think we're gonna talk about the small group exercises after, right? Because I did have questions, and I think it's to your point. It's we can ask people what do you think should happen? And people are so far removed, and then we actually do have to translate it into how it works for the town, how it balances, what the impacts will be tax-wise, what the flack and blowback will be, what people are actually concerned about. And so I don't know how we untie it from the impacts that people are already currently feeling or worried about. I guess to Chris's point, if people are concerned and it seems legitimate, if we create tons more housing, how do we pay for them at a school level, at a municipal level? Mm-hmm. And so how would we ask people let's brainstorm how we can have 1 million small tiny homes or whatever, but it's tiny homes don't actually, like, what would the tax base be for the tiny homes? Are those families?
Well, I
And
think,
how would those families like pay for
I
the,
think there's a misunderstanding about what the general goal of the housing plan is, not just to slam a bunch of houses into the community as it's been portrayed at times. The idea is to look at what are the people's options. Right now, it's single family, 2,500 square feet and above. That's it. It's the
So
only,
we have
$750,000.
ADUs, we have elderly, we have a
We
lot
don't
of apartments.
We have
We don't
no
have-
elderly,
we
1%
don't.
of our town is apartments out of 99% single
I don't
family.
think we have a zoning against elderly housing.
it's not that
do
it's
we?
against it, it's that the requirements make it cost prohibitive for developers to build it. And that becomes the problem. ADUs don't pencil out as an investment. The only reason why people are doing ADUs right now is because they have a need for it, a specific family need. So looking at what are the options in the community for housing and what are options that are out there that we could consider. Housing is going to happen whether you like it or not. It's going to get developed.
And we know that housing types make more sense in cities or urban areas where there's more resources and where people are supporting higher taxes, which is not, hasn't been historically how Nottingham runs. So I want to be realistic about what we're promising for people that are moving here and also what we're asking our current residents to take on for tax increases.
Right. Well, the current path of single-family housing has led you to this. So doing something different might lead you in a better direction,
I don't know that people are
you know? So,
overwhelmingly in the survey, they weren't upset. They were actually upset with the number of houses.
and they
not the
also said
type.
they all have a family member or a friend that is experiencing housing affordability issues.
There were like 15 people out of 300 that said that.
No, it was 172 people that responded, and most of them said so.
I don't think that.
Okay, I'm gonna focus on what the thing is that I came here to talk about.
I'm
So-
excited to talk about that part of the
Why
workshop.
don't you go first and talk about the survey, and we'll get that done.
You who, me?
No, Kristen.
Did you point it at me? I'm like,
Not me.
I mean, we're here to talk about how we carry out the workshop, right? It seems like you're like dejected or really angry. It's like I thought we were talking about how the workshop will play out and how it best serves Nottingham.
Yeah, and I just want to talk about what we have on the agenda, and you're
And then get into that.
you're
Okay.
up. Yeah.
So did everyone review the consolidated natural resources survey?
I did.
Yeah. Yep, I heard feedback that everyone liked it, so, you know. We just want to vote to approve it and then how we will, distribute it and what we hope for participation.
Yes.
I haven't seen
everybody
it,
look
so
at it?
perhaps you could disclose to us and the public that might be watching where they might look at that to,
I actually sent out the draft after other folks had added their drafts to our committee about a month and a half or 2 months ago. So if you haven't reviewed it, I guess you haven't done your homework yet.
I haven't seen it. So,
You were on the chain.
okay.
Because
We haven't made it public because we wanted to all agree on the questions before we.
We
made
did it right
public.
after the last August meeting.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
September
And
15th.
and three of us had input into this draft. I think it covered a nice variety of different concerns related to natural resources. It's too bad we didn't print it.
Tim said it was September 15th.
Okay, I will get that, because I have not, so I'll probably abstain from vote. Go use the potty.
How do you envision using that in the workshop?
I thought we were gonna
It's
send it
separate
out.
from the workshop.
Yeah.
It would be a survey similar to how the housing survey was,
Different, okay.
yeah, it's not during the
Yeah,
workshop.
once you guys decide what it is, I can put it into the Survey Monkey and then give you a link that you can then distribute amongst your network. That's how it was done last time.
I appreciated Mary's input too, because a lot of times I think natural resources is like, it's nice to have, or it's nice to look at, and like, we want it in these spots. But instead it's helping to educate how natural resources contributes to our air quality, water quality, temperature regulation, our own health and well-being.
Did you find it? Here. I think it was MPS Natural Resource Survey Questions Consolidated.
Yes.
Okay, just so you can see it.
I can email it out to everybody right now.
Yeah, the consolidated was 15th. I think that's what Tim said. Because I just did a survey for, you know, in my mail of resource survey questions, and that's what brought it up. Steve, do you remember it?
Steve had written and replied that it looked great.
Oh, he's so nice.
He acknowledged
I
it
wanna
and read
ride
it.
home.
Drew had actually contributed to it as
That's
well.
right, you could be hitchhiker thumb.
And several of those were from notes from when we had talked at the August meeting too, of like, we keep throwing around the word rural character, so we should ask people how they define rural character to make sure we're reflecting that in the next plan.
And we had a mix of what I call constructed response, being the old teacher person, and multiple choice. And that way they can either express themselves or just do the check boxes. And it wasn't overly long.
It's 12 questions.
Again, I think one of the things that's so good is we have a wealth of natural resources in this town. The question is to preserve them, but it's one of the things that makes it, to me, very attractive.
It's not just attractive, I think it's, as we look at the complex of New Hampshire and the pressures of development, we are gonna need towns that are stewarding water quality and biodiversity and wetlands and flood mitigation. It's not just nice to have or pretty to look at too, I think.
Well, part of the issue too is that everybody in Nottingham has their own well and their own septic.
Yes.
And that is finite. And we've had a couple of people come into conservation concerned that the salt level in their wells is elevated and they
Yeah.
can no longer use their wells. And we have to start paying attention to things like that. That as population density increases, we need to deal with our resources in different ways.
Just, again, as a total loose association, one of the things that Silver Nottingham Committee did was we had boat rides on Pawtucket Lake. It was astonishing how many people have lived in this town all their lives and never been on the lake. So, I mean, again, we do have some incredible resources.
So the MPS Natural Resource Survey Questions Consolidated is the one that, the finished one that you would
Proposal,
like,
yeah.
yeah, I think it looks great.
Thanks.
I'm
Tim
gonna
just emailed
move
it.
that we finalize the natural sources survey consolidated questions for Blair to put out to the community as a survey.
Second it, all right.
I'm sorry,
It's okay, it's all right.
I'm quick to second when it comes to motions.
I believe, I'm thinking, isn't the housing one on the town website?
It was.
So this, I mean, one of the things that I think we should get on the town website.
I think we'll promote it like using
Same.
all of the methods we use for
But, you
the,
know, it's, what's amazing to me is how much is on the town website if you actually look at it. It's incredible.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? One abstention. All right, motion passes 6-0-1.
It's true.
yeah, thanks for working on that, all of you.
Yeah, thank you, Kristen.
Yeah, thanks, Drew and Mary.
So we'll need to push it in the next newsletter too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when the deadline for responses will be. I guess you're assuming that we'll get responses prior to our November 8th meeting? Good. Then it can be in the January, February issue. And Drew
We
made
can
a
definitely
QR
promote it at
code.
the meeting too. We can have QR codes and all that stuff
Yeah.
at the workshop. We should
Yeah.
make sure, I'll make myself a note to print some similar QR code thingies that we had at the other events in town leading up to
And
the
maybe Kristen, you
last
can write a
survey.
short article to
Oh,
put in the
totally.
newsletter?
Yeah, yep. And I can do it on all of our social media pages too.
Good.
So we got that one done. So the other outreach engagement pieces for that are gonna be the community workshop, as well as a BioBlitz and the field verifications for the vernal pool assessment, which is gonna be part of this project. So quick update on that. We had a list of 300 firms. We emailed all of them, and we only got back one response. So that was, disappointing to say the least, to map the LiDAR data that the state had done and identify potential vernal pools based on a desktop exercise that we could then go do field verification of come the spring. That's the gist of the scope. Use the state data, identify where they may be, and then field verify. The focus on where they are is going to be public lands. This way we have access. If we gain access to private lands, we can add it. We can go do that. But I've been reluctant to commit to that just because we just don't know. So focused on public lands, and then they're going to help. The firm would help us with developing some training material for the field verification piece. Obviously, the training is going to be actually handled by the Nottingham Conservation Commission, and then anybody that's adjacent to the Concom that wishes to help. So that is the general scope. $8,700 is what we advertised, which is what the budget was, and we got one firm. So we did an interview with them. We were not terribly impressed. So then we just, amongst ourselves, since we've met the needs of our procurement process, we decided to email half a dozen firms directly with a sort of shortened request of response, and we're accepting an email at this point with any changes to the proposal that you think are necessary. Otherwise, let us know what your capacity is and who will handle it. We did that last week, and we've gotten this Monday. I just sent it out. We dealt with it last week, made the decision, emailed them on Monday. We've gotten some pretty good feedback that it looks like at least somebody's going to respond, potentially a couple. So that would give us potentially some choice.
How many vernal pools do you say were not?
I have no idea. That's what we're trying to find out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're gonna focus on public lands. So town or state-owned land, things that we can get access to.
Conservation land?
Yes, conservation land, just anything that we can get access to.
Okay.
If they see it on the map or see it on the LiDAR, they'll note it, and then the volunteers will go out and do the field verification, determine yes or no. It's not about location, like is it 5 feet this way or 5 feet this way. It's more just, is it there or not? It's not a survey.
What's the definition of a vernal pool?
There are a number of primary and secondary indicators that indicate a vernal pool's presence. Things like soil type, drainage, the plants that are present, and also during certain times of the year, the presence of things like eggs or indicator species like salamanders, frogs, those types of things. So a variety of stuff. Secondary indicators, you need multiple of them to verify that it's a vernal pool, but a primary indicator, I believe you only need maybe just one of those in order to verify that it's a.
It's the obligate species usually.
Yeah, right.
It's
So
a breeding,
I'm not
it's a breeding spot
Yeah.
in the springtime
Exactly.
for frog salamanders.
Which is the lifeblood for the upland forest species like barred owls and
Yeah.
That's right.
all the sexy species that we all love are fed by the,
Yeah, vernal pools are pit stops for quite a bit of wildlife.
Cool.
and they're also now more important than ever for holding water and filtration, just like wetlands.
So that is something that we're doing, that we're going the extra mile on for this natural resources master plan chapter and inventory. I will keep you posted about where we stand with getting someone on board. The hope is that people can move quickly, because we can. We're gonna, we can hire a firm, as soon as we get through this step of hearing back from these other ones, from the 5 or 6 firms that we emailed.
How much money is available for that?
$8,700.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wanna go on with it?
I am definitely happy to be a volunteer to look for obligate species for sure.
And then, so maybe I might know by the end of next week. If not, it'll be the week after, which will be good. Yes, it is. Because once we get them on board, we can start the work, which is where we want to be. And then hopefully they'll use the winter to conduct that desktop piece, and then in the spring, we will, they'll do the desktop LiDAR evaluation as well as develop some of the preliminary training stuff, so that in the spring we can go forward with the training and then the execution of it. We're gonna have to move quickly because, April-ish, early parts of May are the prime times to do the verification. But we're setting a deadline of completing their work by the end of May, because the whole project has to be done, I think, by the end of August. So we do have to move quickly on that. So that's where we stand on that front. If you have any questions or follow-up, just let me know, email me. But as far as the survey, and then, which is one piece of the outreach, and then the field verification is the other part of the piece of the outreach. Those two are obviously in motion. So once I get the survey from Kristen, I will work with staff to put it on SurveyMonkey and then send you all the links so you guys can make it available to your different groups.
Larry, if you don't mind, we did discuss the BioBlitz at the Conservation Commission meeting last night, and it is tentatively going to be held on Saturday, May 2nd. I still need to check with the rec department and just, run it by them, because we're planning on having it at Marston, the Marston property, half-day event that'll feature different, like an invasive plant hunt, a bird walk in the morning. I don't have my sheet here with me. What else did we
We
discuss,
talked
Mary?
about some different species identifications.
Right.
Like on the list, it was mosses and liverworts and lichens. We thought people needed to be aware of them, and
Right.
we were
Setting up a trail camera in the days before the BioBlitz so that people can, kids can come look at trail footage and see what wildlife, came
cool.
by.
and then go look for it. And we're talking tracking and wildlife signs.
Yep, so
That
a variety
is-
of things.
That is April vacation week.
Yeah,
Just
and that's
throw it
the,
out there.
right, that's why we are planning it during, it's Earth Week as well, I think, but that's, the spring vacation for the elementary school, and we figured that, it is vacation week, but maybe there'd be more people around wanting
Yeah.
to do stuff near the end of it.
Yeah, we figured the Saturday before you go back to school, you're back from a trip if you went on one, and let's get the kids out of the house.
If you didn't, or either way.
And we chose Marston because it is accessible compared to other, places that we could hold BioBlitzes in Nottingham, like Mulligan Forest, for example. It's a little a little hard to get to, and a small parking lot too. Marston has over 50 parking spots. It's got a place to fill your water up. It's got, a restroom there. It's got everything you'd need to host a bio blitz. So there will be more.
What's the date on this again?
Tentatively planned for Saturday, May 2nd. But
Oh, okay.
that's all dependent on whether or not the rec department has other things going on. We literally just talked about this last night at the Conservation Commission meeting. So very tentative at this point, and more info should be forthcoming.
In
Like a
fact,
morning thing, like a 9 to 12 kind of thing, or do you have
It
to
would
get
be
up
a
super
half
early?
day in the morning, because one of the things would be a bird walk, and that time of year is great early morning warbler walks. So
Sweet.
haven't nailed down a time yet, because we still have, we've reduced the amount of activities that we're interested in hosting. We need to reach out to some other people to see if they'd be willing to do it. Some of the things we have planned, so it should be a half day one. We didn't want to do a full day, like take off too big of a bite, because we're all excited about putting on a bio blitz, but we didn't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. So more info will be coming out soon.
Cool.
Sounds really cool.
Yeah.
And it's going to be an all ages event. There'll be stuff for kids, scavenger hunt, bingo cards, things like that. So all
something
ages,
for adults as well.
a full community inclusion, bio blitz.
Yep, and we had a world record meeting last night. We started at 6 so we could get home at 8, and we got home after 9. The select board
I
left before us.
We felt a little guilty.
You shouldn't, but, yeah.
I'm probably equivalent point. A blitz is a German word for armed attack on Poland, things like that. I don't like the name blitz.
What's that?
The word blitz is from World War II. It means a German attack on things like Poland.
Yeah, I think literally blitz means, oh boy, it's been
It's
so
just to
long
go
since
out
I've
and
taken care of
gather,
it, right?
yeah,
Well,
it's like,
it's a blitzkrieg, right? And the krieg part is like
yeah, it's
the
just
war,
get out,
fighting
just go
part.
out, yeah.
Blitz by itself, I can't recall.
Blitz alone, because when they think of blitzkrieg, unfortunately.
Sure, it doesn't have a great connotation to it, right?
There's a lot of bio
I do.
blitzes out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody
So-
does bio blitzes.
Blitz is German for lightning, so it means it's a fast event. It's a bio blitz because you hold it half day. I didn't name it. That's just what they call them.
All right,
They're everywhere.
okay, just as a very warm.
Steve, football, they have a blitz where they go after the quarterback fast,
All right, okay.
okay?
You got me out of this job.
Okay, according to my thesaurus, it's a sudden, energetic, and concerted effort, typically on a specific task.
Okay.
There we go.
Bio blitz.
Okay.
Pretty
I mean,
accurate.
AI is telling me it's a bio blitz is a short-term event where a community works together to find and identify as many species as possible in a short
So
period.
it's well in the vocabulary.
Yes, it's part of the vernacular at this
That's
point.
the word I was
Yes.
looking for. Right.
We're not making up our own terms.
Yeah.
Good, okay.
I'm not that creative.
I'm in World War II right now.
All right, good things. That's great to hear. Well, I guess May is a ways out, but just try and nail it down so we can start promoting it.
We've also got Charlotte Thompson at the UNH Extension, who actually lives here in Nottingham as well, but she wrote the UNH, their guide on hosting bio blitzes, and she's been helping me with the planning and also plans on, joining for the bio blitz as well. So I'm trying to pull in as much, good help as we can to make it a
I'm
good
assuming
event.
there's no charge for this?
No, it'll be a free event.
Great.
Yeah, absolutely. A celebration of Nottingham's natural resources.
Yes, indeed. All right, so talking about the community workshop, I had sent around 4 exercises based on what we had talked about. So you all have them in front of you. Just a quick rundown. We decided on 2 housing, 2 natural resources. Obviously, we're going to be talking about the intersection of the 2 in some of them, but yes, that was where we landed. So the first one talks about looking at diversifying housing options. Second one talks about sort of non-housing related costs or ways to reduce housing through policy or regulations. I gave some examples there for us to start to consider as things that could be brought up. And then we looked at we talked about.
Chris, I'm gonna stop at one. Diversity of non-housing options, you're gonna give them information about it? Because I'm only learning now how many different housing options are.
Yeah, so I mean, there's, I've got a menu that I've been collecting for a long time that's probably got a dozen, maybe 15 different types of things that people can do for housing solutions. I pulled out 4 that I feel like most people will know or be familiar with. And I could bring examples, like a visual example, or if it's just, a written thing, I could, a description of it. But basically, these 4 were examples of ones that I had thought of that I thought people would know. But that's why we're here tonight, is to try to talk about this.
I mean, again, to me, I'm just learning that there's ways in which you can reduce the acreage if there's common ground. What is that called?
Open space development?
But maybe that's what.
Is that what you're talking about, an open space development?
Well,
Where you can build smaller lots if you set aside, yeah.
Again, to me, that's fantastic. So most people don't know about. At least I had to join this group to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was alluding to earlier. When we go into this community workshop, we've been eyeball deep for a long time. People are going to be walking in very green. Some people will know what they're talking about. But a lot of people, you have to assume a lot of people, their knowledge base is very limited. And not because they don't understand, it's just paying attention. You got to spend time doing this stuff too.
Okay, again, so in terms of how long do you envision that group being together?
Oh, well, so, it's a 3-hour program. We've got 9 to 12. So each one of these groups is going to be, I haven't mapped out the exact amount of time, but each one of the groups could be 20, 30 minutes long.
So they're going to go to group?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So the tables will stay put, and then the people will shuffle around at the 4 different tables, so that each group gets to go to all 4 different tables.
To Steve's point and your point of people just not being knowledgeable necessarily on all of this, does it make sense to even start, or do you plan on saying what types of housing we currently have?
Well, you'll do a presentation in the
introduction.
beginning. That's the whole point of that presentation, right?
I
Is a
can
little bit of
add that. Yeah.
I mean, again,
I
it
thought
takes
that-
me a while to figure out what's available. I mean, most people know about a single-family home, but
But I was thinking in each of these workshops, like data on, we have this type of housing, we have this many, in like how much in each one, like we already have this many open space, we have this many ADUs, like just to even showcase what we currently have available before we
Blair, who do you
start.
envision will be running each one of these groups? I mean, there's gonna be somebody moving to a table, or you can't do every single one.
No, staff
That's
from
why,
SRPC.
that's what we're doing today, right?
No,
Figuring out-
staff from SRPC will be leading these,
Oh,
and then
okay.
each of you will
Great.
each of you will volunteer at a table to support, whether it's
Take
take notes or
That's
handle
awesome.
supplies.
I thought that part of our meeting tonight was deciding who had to lead these. I was like, I'll do it, but
Let's
okay.
get Steve leading a group, because now he knows about open space development. He just learned
Oh,
about
that's
it.
great.
no, but yeah, to me, it's a learning curve.
That makes things a lot easier.
Yeah, because then the person leading that discussion will have more background about all of this, so.
Exactly.
Thank you for clarification on that. That was
Yes.
very
So
helpful.
you guys are gonna run each group?
SRPC staff will run each group, yes, and you guys will support them,
Oh, cool.
yes.
So for something like that,
I was thinking
how to
I'm gonna be sitting
diversify
there,
the housing options, I'm looking at the other ones, but that one in particular seems like it would, could really benefit from having, a paper that has like an example and a description of each of them, so that people can see, oh, this is an open space, this is, and like the general plan of what an open space
Yeah,
subdivision looks like. I don't know if that's in any of the housing toolkits, something like that, but I know I've seen infographics related to that. And for me, if I was coming in fresh, it would be super helpful just to have stuff there, not just being talked at about what these different housing options are.
Yeah, people are very visual.
Yeah, I try to note where I'm saying, like exactly how it's going to be done. This one does say, ask attendees for opinion and preferences of the examples. So I am anticipating bringing examples. I just
Good.
don't have it sorted out yet because I
Sure.
want to know from you all what examples to
Do you
bring.
need some Legos?
I
That
know
would
the
actually
Son
be
can
amazing.
take care of that.
I think,
The workshop that we went to, their presentations had some really great slides
Sarah,
with
right,
ADUs
and I suggested Sarah.
and all that. So I would assume, and those were, things that are right on the New Hampshire, I have another binder that has all kinds of that stuff. I assume they would be bringing some of that with them. No?
Who? Me?
The people
Yeah.
who are coming to lead the groups.
Yeah, I mean, that's me. It's SRPC. Yeah, I'm going to make a presentation in the beginning. I want to set the stage about what we did what you did in 2012, and where we are now. Some of the data that's changed and evolved since then, and then I'll talk about all of these things, and explain them in some level of detail. There'll be a little more information than you'll get at each table, but. I'll tee up all of these, and I'll include some data on percentages of types of housing that may be difficult to get, but I can get a sense of it. I can get high level numbers on that, and talk about some of these different examples. So if let's say for example, if these four were the examples. The examples, then I would come prepared with a physical example, like either a picture of it or an infographic. Just depends on what I can find that works best.
So what are the four?
People aren't even gonna know what an ADU is, so that's what I meant, just like some sort of,
So what are the four?
like something that they
So
can
on
look
the-
out a sheet on the table.
On the paper in front of you, yeah. But like I said, those are four ideas. You can come up with
Next
four
page,
other,
Steve.
other ones,
Oh,
Right here.
other ones.
I think what Sarah is referring to is that, at one of the master plan training committees, they had New Hampshire Housing up there with Sarah Wright, who did a whole
Yeah.
video thing showing, walking through different towns, here's a house, here's a multifamily house, and here's different styles and different concepts, little downtown village with a business downstairs and apartments upstairs, and it was very positive and very nice presentation. That's why I sent you that thing the other day, that we should have a presentation like that so people can see, here's different housing types and how they fit into a community.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what this exercise is getting at, but the point of this day is not for Blair to talk at everybody for an hour, right? The point of the day is to tee up the four exercises so that we can extract information. This is an engagement exercise. The idea is to try to get as much out of people that show up that day to complement some of the other things that we have done in the way of engagement.
Their ideas have to be educated, I guess.
Okay,
I would call it informed rather than educated.
Yeah. But I mean, educated by you or us, as far as how much data or I'm thinking it is great to talk about these, and can a case study be shared, or here's, tiny homes or cottage communities, here's who does that for surrounding towns, here's their pitfalls, here's their successes.
Blair, I'm wondering if maybe just in the overview part is you just add in and just do maybe spend 5 to 7 minutes kind of reviewing for each of the four as a big group, is you'll be discussing this. These are some ideas on different types of dwelling units you could, use, and, does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that
Right.
at least everybody's under the same assumption going into the four groups. You'd have to spend a lot of time, again, maybe 5 or 6 minutes on each of the topics.
yeah, I mean,
People aren't thinking how cottage homes relate to our zoning or how we define tiny homes. People might be does that mean trailer parks? Does that mean tiny homes? Does that mean people on wheels? Does that mean impermanent structures? We can define and share how surrounding towns have successfully implemented these or use them, or how they define them, because we're gonna have to apply it to all of those things.
Just tell them to watch Home Garden Network.
It's a requirement to
town
attend
is-
this event.
But I'm just saying, like, for zoning and planning board, like the planning, any of these things that are adopted are gonna have to be defined too.
Blair,
Yeah, so
maybe you
that
can
that's our
help us by talking about the small house community in Dover, which you're representing, and talk about positive impacts and negative impacts about that, if that's discoverable.
Yeah, so I guess I jumped ahead. I sent this out, and this is, you know, the agenda and for the event. And what I plan to do as part of my presentation in advance of the small group exercises is a brief overview of the master plan that we have and some of the accomplishments that we've done on the 2 chapters that we're there to discuss. A presentation of community profile and data trends in housing and natural resources. So what's happened since 2011 to today? Maybe even, like, since this is part of the population chapter, we'll, you know, I can talk about some of the projections that are out there for your community. But there's plenty of data and information on SRPC's website for the community profiles. We did a regional housing needs assessment 2 years ago for the entire region, which also created a lot of data at the municipal level as well. So there's a lot of things that I can pull from. And that will just sort of set the stage for what's happened in the world of housing and what's happened in the world of natural resources since 2010. You know, we could do it since the census, since there's good data in the census. But basically, it'll be an opportunity to cover the time period since we last did the master plan chapter. And then the third piece of my presentation would be an overview of each of the small group exercises. So I'm going to do that in front of the whole group. And then we do the exercises. So, as someone, I could add data on the different types of housing types that are in Nottingham, based on what I can find. And then I can do case studies depending upon what we choose to do. Case studies might not be relevant for all of them, but yes, I could find some examples.
Is that just like, and I think, I know my brain is like, how do we carry this out in Nottingham and support it and do it well? So for those types of communities, like, are there case studies on how everyone's on well and septic and doing that? Or are those like more town water friendly? Like, just like wondering how we even.
I just feel like maybe you're getting like further ahead of where, like, this is just like more to gather input and like even just see if people like feel like those things, like they don't even, like, if they've been talking about them. Like, we're not saying that everything that we take from this, we've definitely got to put back and put in our master plan and say, these are, like, I think this is more just gathering, but I think it's more just gathering input and gathering ideas and having people begin to, you know, the discussions about them, because maybe they haven't even thought about some of these things before. And so it's more thinking about, would we be open to some of these different things, or thinking like, oh, wow, like I hadn't even thought about doing something like that before. And so, you know, taking some of the feedback we get from all of these discussions and then using that along with like the surveys and everything else that we've gotten, and using that to help us to develop our master plan.
And to make the recommendations to the planning board.
Right, and just
Get
some
raw material.
recommendations, but not necessarily anything like, you know,
But I can
we
tell you
think
again,
this is what we
looking at
have to
this,
do.
I feel like I'm to the selectmen's meeting, what's an ADU?
It's an accessory dwelling unit. It's a second home on your lot.
Or a big apartment.
Apartment in your basement or your garage where your kids can live when they get a divorce and can't afford to live somewhere.
Or your tool shed gets turned into a mother-in-law
Or
apartment.
an Airbnb.
Or your elderly mother-in-law who needs help and can't live on her own.
One of the things that I think we don't want to overdo is, like, when you do the overview for the small group exercises, don't give them too much information,
Right.
because that might bias it, or
I
it
know.
might turn them off.
Yeah, it's not about leading them, it's about informing them and just
Yeah.
giving them a sense of what the exercise is
Like, I
about.
don't think they need data on the kinds of percentages of houses that already exist here. I mean, if you drive through town, you have a general idea. Let them kind of explore these things that you're bringing up, and let them express what they think these are. And then kind of clarify, well, an ADU is actually this. Oh, and the state regulations have changed, and now this is what could qualify as an ADU, that kind of thing.
But what?
Yeah, it's a lot of getting a reaction.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm.
And so the idea, hang on, Steve. So the idea is you present it and, yeah, it's gonna be like a surface level reaction. It's not gonna be the most informed, but, people know, right? They have an idea. And, just trying to get a sense of like, is this something that would fit here? Is it not? If it is, how? What,
Where?
what? Yeah, and where? That was the other piece too, yes. Where.
Okay, so I'm going to be concrete. They're there for 20 minutes. How long are they in this group?
Sorry?
They're in a group for how long?
20 minutes.
20 minutes?
Yeah.
At the end of 20 minutes, does a leader or the person who's from us write down some of their ideas, or? Yes, I'm trying to.
Yes.
Okay. So everyone is the responsibility of the person in the group.
Yeah. So, like, for example, if I'm in this group, I'm going to be the lead. I'll lead the discussion and, do the back and forth. But someone else, one of you, is going to be writing things down and taking notes.
Okay?
Yeah. And then what we do at the end is from each table. So it'll be myself and the 3 other staff. We'll do a readout and tell the big group, here's what we found. And if I can pull it together, then we can have a big group discussion about some of the things we heard. And we can also potentially do like an as you're walking out sticky dot exercise of, okay, we talked about all these ideas. These are the ones that have sort of come up to the top. Which of these do you like? And we can get like a quick ranking or something like that. So it's a lot of touch points, getting a little bit of feedback from a bunch of different topics. These things are messy, they're a bit chaotic, but we try to make sense of them. We, the planners, try to make sense of them at the end.
You've done it before, so I
Yes.
feel like I can trust your process.
And what I'm changing for this process, based on having done it before, is I'm going to do the group discussion after the exercises. I did it once before, and it just went on and on and on and on and on. And I felt like we weren't getting good information. I had a guy at the board writing everything down, but that was too chaotic because it was not focused. This helps to focus it a little bit, and then when we come back to the big group, we can hopefully talk about these a little bit more. There'll be tangent conversations, but hopefully we can stay on these things to try to really get these 4 items, these themes, get some good feedback on them.
Okay, having done this before, we had a very interesting, and it was very effective. We had a meeting on Boston many years ago for the same idea of focus groups. Couple things are important. One, you've got a big room, spread them way out because
Because of noise.
it's a noise. Other groups they'll compete with their noise.
Yeah, sure.
And the Jewish mother, how are we going to feed them?
Yes. For a longer one like this, we're not going to have sandwiches, but we'll have snacks. We'll have coffee and your morning.
Want low blood sugars.
Yeah, your morning stuff.
Steve, bring some bagels.
We'll have lots of fun.
Oh,
Lots of fun.
I guess I'm getting it now, guys. I'm getting it.
Finally, dawn breaks over Marblehead.
I am wondering, like, we're introducing some topics, but topics were already brought from our community, like elderly housing and village district or mixed use, like zoned areas. So I would think, like, could we replace the ones that are brand new with some of the things that have already been brought by our community members, so we make sure we touch on them.
Or maybe they'll bring them up during these discussions themselves, you know.
But why would we introduce like brand new things instead of trying
Because they're not
to
aware.
address their,
And make them aware that there are other things that, you know, like a kid grows up in a certain town and they're aware of certain occupations. And then they go away and find out, oh, there are all other kinds of occupations. And so, okay, we're already aware of the kinds of things that we have here, but let's see, oh, there are other things that exist out there. Would any of them be appropriate for our community? What do you think? I don't know. I just would like it to be education as well as complaint.
Yes, like I said, I mean, I've got my ongoing list of my menu of housing options that.
it just seems like elderly is on everyone's mind.
Yeah, I can put elderly on there. I think that's a good one. I already have mixed use on there.
And that would be the village, yeah.
Um, I will listen to you all, but when I brought up village in the survey, you were the one that told me people were thinking this was, oh, create our own little town within the town and like secede. Village, not
Taxes.
not village
I
of
mean-
like, you know,
That's a reality of our
walkable, you know,
material, so-
little cutesy New Englandy downtown or
Trying to be real.
village, yeah. So I have since walked away from that. If you all think that there are places in this community where people would embrace a village type area, I'm all for it. But chances are it's one spot, if at all. So asking people where spots are is going to be limited, and the exercise to get people to really hone in on that, I don't think we're there yet.
Okay, me.
I don't think that you as a community are there yet. I think that could be a recommendation. Look
Economic
into, research and look
development.
into a village area for Nottingham.
Economic
Okay,
development.
but I
That
think,
could be a recommendation that comes out of this report that the planning board could run with,
Yeah.
maybe come back to this group. But I just don't think you're there yet. Tell me if I'm wrong. But when I heard that, I was like, all right, we're not there yet.
We don't have a village area, so I think that would be, and it's all blown out and developed, so there's not much, we're gonna squeeze in there and get any sort of reasonable density
Yeah.
or
okay,
benefit.
I think we've had a couple of examples of villages already. One is run from the village of Francesca, that for a while was a community. So we have had that has existed. I think they're trying to do that on Spruce Peak, whatever that is gonna be. So there is,
Are you talking again about open space subdivisions and HOAs?
I'm
Or
just thinking that this community around Francesca all developed around the same time and had a community spirit. They had a road race for a while, so I mean,
Oh, that's like just,
A
that's
neighborhood,
your community.
Mhm.
That's not a village.
what's the difference between a community and a village?
Well, like, people have block
Village with
parties,
allow
they have
sidewalks and where
neighbors, they do
everything-
community events. But a village is like you have a coffee shop, you have
Oh,
streetlights and a sidewalk. and-
Sidewalks.
It would allow
You
commercial.
walk around
Work.
Portsmouth and see a village atmosphere.
Well, I mean, you
When
even
you
have,
work
but you have them at much smaller scales too. Think of your classic New England town center, where you have the steepled church, you have town hall, you have the library, and you have the post office around a village center, right? That's your classic New England village center.
Right, okay.
I think in your context, what you would look at is a couple of intersections in town that are busier than others and might have a better opportunity for a different type of growth pattern, which might include mixed use, where you have the shop on the first floor and maybe a couple of units up above, and your neighbors aren't that far from you. That's the idea.
Okay, I think we're not there yet.
I agree.
I agree with that, okay.
But also, in order to get there, you have to plan for it. It's 20 years in the making.
Yeah.
It's a generation or two, but you got to start it today to have it happen. But again, I think for the purposes of this report, my experience from having these conversations, this iterative process, is that maybe it's a recommendation to look into it.
I agree.
Great.
Okay, so elderly housing, I think, is a good suggestion. We have heard that brought up. There's a couple of ways to talk about that. You have bigger elderly housing, like more dense elderly housing, and then just smaller, like a 4-unit structure or a 4-house subdivision that's restricted in age. If you want to promote it, it becomes, what do you want to do, right? Do you want to encourage it through a density bonus? If someone does elderly housing, they can get 5 units instead of 4, something like that. I'll see if I'll find a way to create an exercise or a conversation about it, but it's a little limited in its topic. So I'm sure I can find something. I'm sure I can find a way to
One of the
talk
things
about
I've
it.
seen, and it's amazing what's happened to places like Londonderry, where they have senior housing, where River Bend and stuff like that. You're not talking about anything like that, are you?
I don't know that particular one, but
The Baldwin is one.
No, he's talking about a continuing care facility. I don't think
Yeah.
that's what we're talking about.
Good, okay, because
I mean, not to say that Nottingham could not do that, but I'm just, that's not what he's talking about housing.
Yeah,
Independent
so there's
living.
elderly housing is a type of use. I think it's called housing for older persons in the state statute. And it's basically restricted to 55 and older as the primary occupant. If you have a child that's under that, you're typically allowed there, but the primary occupant has to be 55 or older. And that's kind of it. These other types of uses, continuing care, assisted living, whatever they're called nowadays, they all offer different amenities. That's considered a commercial use.
Oh, okay.
And it's not really residential. Yes, people live there, but it has commercial components to it. What else? All right, so I guess since we're on this one, we'll just keep going. But again, yes, make a small presentation and then lead the conversation using examples, infographics, or physical photographs of ones that have been built. Do you like some of the other suggestions that I've got? Do you want to add or subtract from what we've got? From what we've got here.
Rental housing.
Okay. Rental housing is rental housing is a type of tenancy, so it's hard for us to, as a town, dictate rental housing here for ownership over here. I understand what you're trying to get at as like meeting a need, but it's hard for us to dictate tenancy.
Because any of these could be rent.
Anything
Rent
could be.
any of these types of.
The only thing yes, anything can be.
There's houses that are rented on our road in Garland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anything can be rental housing for the most part. So it's hard for us to promote it as a town.
Okay, if I'm driving towards the recycling center, I see an apartment house, I don't know
Yeah.
what.
They're out there. You've got some rentals, but your ownership is about 92%, somewhere in that range. So it's a very, very small
Apartments and,
Yeah.
amount of it.
I think it's smaller than that.
Yeah, because that probably includes second homes and stuff like that. When they say ownership, they mean primary. Yeah.
Right. I think there's a 1% rental in the town, and not everybody can own a house.
Yeah.
Not everybody wants to own a house.
Yeah.
Not everybody wants to maintain a 3-acre yard or have a 2,500 square foot house or have stairs or mow the lawn. Some people are physically unable or old or like to travel or just are busy and don't have time to deal with all that. So there's a need. All of us here rented a house at one time in our life. I guarantee it.
It's definitely, the idea of thinking about it in this chapter is for sure, looking at like what are the needs out there. But as far as this exercise, I'll noodle on it, but I'm gonna have a hard time coming up with something on that one. With regards to like the first one, reduce fees and streamline permitting for certain types of housing, for example, ADUs. When you hear that, what do you think? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you think it's it's something that's worth exploring.
After they find out what it is.
Well, that's part, I'm kind of going back to the beginning here of asking like, do you understand it? Obviously, I don't have any examples in front of me right now, and I would then, but what do we think about
Well,
that?
again, I know a number of people, again, there's one on my street that he has the house, and next to the house, he has a trailer that his mother-in-law lives in. Now, it's not saying that's the same thing, but I can know that many of us, as our parents get older, want to have a place for them.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, that's largely where the ADUs came out of, is the in-law suite, a family need.
Tim, can you detail what the ADU policy or
So I'm not as familiar with
Yeah.
the zoning ordinances.
do you know that?
But I know that, I mean, part of the reason why we're talking about this more is because the zoning ordinances were recently relaxed
Right.
to allow for greater
Well, yeah,
flexibility.
statewide they
with
were
ADUs,
this year,
yes,
and
so-
then
Right.
we
So
allow for ADUs.
ADUs have been allowed in our town for about 2 years, maybe 3 years now. And
Attached ADUs.
attached ADUs, but the state law just changed where you could have a detached. So if you had a small ranch house with a big garage or barn in the back, you could potentially make an apartment there, so you
It
don't
has
have
to
to
be,
have your kids living in the house
right,
behind that wall.
it has to have water and septic that meets the same criteria as a one-bedroom unit.
Yep.
And it needs to be within a certain size parameter, which the state just relaxed. I think Nottingham said that ours had to be around 7,000 square feet. I'm not positive.
750 square feet.
750 square
There's
feet,
no way
yes,
it's
yeah.
Big ADU.
Whoa, it's bigger than my house.
Holy-
Yeah,
Our
750
house is
square feet,
1,200.
but.
That's what our current maximum is 750 feet.
But the
and
state-
The state has made it so that you can't restrict an ADU to be any smaller than 750 feet, so
And it can
our
be up
regs-
to,
And if it's not restricted by the town, it can be up to, I think it's 1,050 square feet. I don't think it's 950.
I thought
I
we
think there
just
was-
did 950
It's
on that.
I think that's
950
what
by the
ours-
state, but we can go up to whatever we want.
Oh, is it 950 the state?
Yeah.
Okay,
If
for
you're
some reason I thought
silent
it was
on-
over 1,000. Okay, so yeah, by default it would be 950 apparently. So that's gonna be something that'll, be
And it
on
can
the
be
upcoming
detached?
warrant.
and it used to have to be attached, and it used to have
It
to
has to
pretty
have the
much
shared
be
wall.
a family member. Now
Yeah,
it can be
shared
whoever you
doorway.
want.
Right.
So we could do a case study on that and look at the last 3 years and see, wow, 59 people banged down the doors of the building department to add an ADU or tooted. And see, how that numbers work. I think a lot of people get alarmed when they hear, oh, well, we could add apartments, and they get all wigged out about it, but it's,
I think it
people
has
aren't
this-
banging the doors down.
And if it's detached, I think it's got the same lot line distances and everything else. It's not just like I can plop it in any place. It needs to fit the same
Unless it's a
specs.
pre-existing, if you have
It's
a garage
pre-existing,
and you
yeah.
wanna build an ADU above it, if the garage is non-conforming, you can still by right
Right.
build an ADU
Right.
above it, is my
I was
understanding.
talking brand new.
That's correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So it sounds like the
Yeah, I think
state
it would be a
already.
good discussion.
the state has already passed that, and so our regulations have to come into compliance with that in our next warrant article round.
So that's kind of already done. We already had ADUs, now we have detached ADUs, and those are coming down the pipeline with our zoning ordinance in the spring to meet the state guidelines that change. So it's kind of already done. We should start looking at the next thing, maybe tiny houses or apartments or elderly housing or some other options, for other.
Well, we only have
But-
20
I
minutes.
mean, it might be done in your brain because you're in the house, but like when I went to my first workshop, I didn't know what an ADU was.
I was
Yeah.
just
So
gonna
that's
say
why
the
I think, like-
education piece.
Like,
Okay.
just talking about this stuff, like people coming to the table, like that might be something like, oh wow, I never thought, let's do more of that. That's what I'm saying.
And
Like,
here's
that's
what our
why these
current was.
conversations are gonna be great because they're going to educate some people and have them start thinking, and they're gonna walk away maybe with, more things in their brain than they came in with, especially in regards to housing, and they might talk about that with other people, and I just feel like it could,
To your point too, Chris, we can say, we've had
Gather.
these
Well, I think it
laws around
makes it
ADUs for the past 2 or
doable.
3 years,
Some
here's how many
want to
people
bring
have
in
applied or
law
taken us up on
As
it.
an adult, or.
But
Now
I-
the state
I-
has relaxed.
I agree, it's in my brain and not necessarily everybody else's, so, yeah, that's,
So, all right, so the next one that I talk about is tiny homes or cottage condo communities. You know, people talk about tiny home communities, it's, you know, it's just building small homes.
Is it possible for us to regulate the size of a home that goes onto a lot? Because I thought we could just, you know, the ordinance could just say how big a building envelope is, but not dictate what type of building goes on there.
I think International Building Code says something like 250 to 350 square feet is like your minimum size, right? And I agree, I don't know of any mechanisms to limit the size, but people keep mentioning it, so I'm trying to be responsive.
I think,
I guess my question there then is like, are we gonna get anything useful out of that discussion if there's not really a way to affect, you know, to promote tiny homes or cottage condo communities, if there's no mechanism by which the town is able to promote them through regulations or something, you know, we can't say, if you wanna build tiny homes here, we'll let you do it on, you know, build 2 of them on an acre or something like that. That's not possible, right? Because
No, you can do that if you have a goal.
okay.
You can incentivize. You can provide density bonus, or a relaxation of a regulation.
One
If
that
there's-
then also would go and restrict the size of the house that's built on that
That-
lot that's approved.
That
the
part,
big-
that part I don't know.
See, and that's the, right, if you wanna incentivize tiny homes, how do you control the size of the home that actually goes on that lot that gets approved?
You could say, if you have a 5-acre lot or a 6-acre lot, you're typically allowed 3 units because it's 2 acres, right? Quick math. You could say, if you choose to do homes that are less than 1,200 square feet, you can do 4. You know, you could make it something like that.
And that's something that would
Like
be able to
well
be worked
and
into
water.
the,
Think of the water and
Yeah.
the septic.
I know.
and that could be worked into ordinances, regulations and all that?
I mean,
Okay.
it's, you know, inclusionary zoning is a lot that, you know, promote, like deed restricted affordable housing. You'll see density bonuses as part of those regulations.
But
My
can you
question is
do something
water.
like that when you're tapping into a well with each one of those? Or would each one all tap
Common
into
well.
the same well?
Yeah.
And the same septic? And would it be, I just think it's gonna
No,
get
it's a lot
really
easier in a town
confusing.
like Dover when you have city water and
Right.
city septic. It's really hard to think about doing something like that in Nottingham when we don't have any
Yeah.
infrastructure.
You
like
can.
that.
People's wells already went dry this summer.
Probably just be a community well for those or something in a subdivision like that.
You could do a community well, and, you know, state septic, you know, if you're doing your lot sizes based on septic, you can go down as far as 10,000 square feet. Right now, we're at 85,000 square feet, 86,000 square
Can
feet,
you-
2
again, I
acres.
don't know.
Oh, for 2 acres, okay.
Can you have
So-
community wells and can you have community septic?
Steve, we already have them. We have a school in this town and it has a well, because we have no town water, and there's 500 and something students there and hundreds of staff on a well. And there's also a septic there. So is it achievable and workable? Absolutely. We have it right here in our town right now.
And
Raymond
the,
has no town sewer. They have Dunkin' Donuts, McDonald's, restaurants, Tuckaway Tavern, all kinds of, there's no town sewer in the whole town of Raymond.
Raymond had the biggest reports of dry wells this summer.
I didn't
So
realize
for me,
Camelot
that would-
Court has a
Yeah,
community well.
yeah, Camelot Court does have a community well.
No, Tim just told me. I didn't know that.
Yep.
I didn't know it
That
either.
makes me nervous about wells and water and septic
Anyway,
and
but-
managing that.
So I think all of this though,
But I
just
guess, right.
because
that's
we have
not-
3 other things to get to, and I
Right.
personally would like to get it
I'd
pretty
like to
right.
be
But I
home
think
before
all of
that.
this stuff would be, we recommend the planning board kind of look into it at the end of the
Right.
process, and then it's a matter of a group of people researching it and then figuring out how it could work and if it could work, right?
Yes, and, you know, if, maybe this isn't a good suggestion for this exercise. I could take that one out. We've already brought in elderly housing. Are there, so mixed-use structures was another one. We technically don't allow them in this community. typically communities will call it out and say it's allowed, and say where it's allowed. And that might be something that's for the town center district, or it could be something for that new village district.
I think getting a sense of how people feel about mixed use could then inform some of the recommendations we make in researching on the economic development or other
Okay, all right.
getting
So get some
towards
good
that.
feedback, and so put it out there and see what the feedback is on the idea behind
Yeah.
it. Okay, good.
Well, we could have mixed use, if
and
somebody
same
built
with
an
the last
apartment up
one.
over Lyres.
Right.
There's an apartment in back of Liar's Paradise right now, that is
So
a
it's
mixed
mixed use
use
then.
right now.
Oh,
Yeah, they've got like 4 different uses at that. Gas station, restaurant, retail, quickie mart.
How do they get their
And-
insurance?
Auto repair
Yeah,
and apartment,
Yes,
that is a mixed use.
yeah, that's 6 different.
So-
That predates zoning.
Yeah,
It's not against Walmart. So, okay, and then what about increasing flexibility for backlots? Right now, I think you're required to have minimum 50 feet. We could reduce that requirement. We could allow them to do, they're supposed to do their own driveway, but we could allow them to do, a shared driveway. There's ways to increase the flexibility. We could, if it's a back lot, we could reduce the size from 2 acres to something smaller. Since it's back behind somebody else, it's not really visible from the road. There are things that we could do to increase the flexibility of land that's, behind other land. Because if you recall, back in the day when they were doing like forest lots, they were long and narrow. So if you get a couple of plots, you have these long, narrow lots that you really can't do much with. So that a lot of that land just sits empty. If we thought about increasing the flexibility for backlots, you might be able to see a separate house on a separate lot as opposed to an ADU. So this is something that I thought might fit in this community, given the way it's been laid out over time, and so I put that forward as well. And then if we want to hear some of the other examples, I can read through them. But what do we think about that one? Is that something?
I think people would be interested in discussing that based on the dimensions of some of the lots that I've seen. Not that, I think it's a great idea, but whatever, it's just, I think it would be something.
Worth getting input on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because we've had a couple of issues come up where people have wanted to have a driveway that goes back into a lot that maybe in one portion it isn't quite wide enough to meet our present requirements in a certain location. Just a lot of little tricky things.
Yeah, things can get difficult when you start pulling out buildable area with wetlands and stuff that doesn't meet like our building envelope area. All right, well, I can leave that in there. Is there anything else that you'd want to hear feedback on? Any other ideas for?
Higher density uses based on actual soil conditions instead of arbitrary numbers.
So one of the things that the state does is they have zoning by soil type. If you're in a very permeable area, your lot sizes can be smaller. What communities have done is then have decided to just put in, standard minimum lot sizes of 2 acres or 1 acre, whatever it might be, based on the zoning district. So what Chris is talking about is the state regulations, which allow you to base it more off of soils rather than just sort of a blanket 2 acre lot size. I'm still learning about that myself. I only found out it was a thing very recently, so that's
I
about
thought
the
the blanket was supporting the vision of a rural character and balancing natural resources. I didn't think it was off of a random state soil thing. Or Nottingham. Like, that's what I've heard since I've lived here.
I haven't asked, so I don't know. But
I gotta say, 728 homes in our town are less than an acre, and so particularly some of us that are sitting here at this table live on a lot right next to a wetland, namely a lake, that is a third of an acre and has a well and a septic, and people haven't died because of that. So is it sustainable? Is it possible to have a third of an acre lot? Absolutely. We have proof that it's already happened. There's 568 houses around the lake that are probably all less than, not probably all, but mostly probably a half an acre. I live on 0.34 acres, and most of my neighbors are about the same size.
The lake, as I understand, has water quality issues and invasive species
That is correct.
issues that are impacting recreation and income as well. That's
I don't think
conservation.
it's something we need
Issue.
to put on there
No.
as far as, I think that talking about these, it's gonna be plenty.
Yeah.
I think that that's gonna just kind of muddy the waters and people aren't gonna, it's another thing that people would just need to be educated about. But I think that these are pretty straightforward and
Yeah, keep-
can give us a
You're saying
place to
that
start.
Tuckaway Lake is
It's
called
20
what now?
minutes.
Right, we only have 20 minutes.
It's a wetland, yes, indeed.
I've never heard of it that way.
Yeah. So the only way to have affordable housing is to have higher density. That's the only way possible. And we are against higher density in this town because we require 2 acres minimal buildable land per unit. And if you want to build a 2-unit, you need 4 acres and 300 feet more frontage. And if you want to put a 4-unit, you need 8 acres, and it's, you don't need that much space to sustain a well and a septic for that property. So we're not encouraging density of any kind, we're discouraging it. And so that's why our prices are not affordable anymore. It's just that the only way to increase affordability is to increase density. That's the only way.
I think there are a lot of things that influence housing costs that are outside of our density in our town.
One idea could be looking at what the requirements are for a 2-unit structure or a 3-unit structure. Right now, it's 2 acres across the board for any number of housing units. That could be an option. For something that's large scale, maybe it still needs to meet that.
Do we have, as one of the options, changing the zoning laws, or is that in stone?
No, I mean, that's kind of that would end up being a lot of the recommendations that come out of this is, recommend changing the zoning to allow for elderly housing in XYZ zoning district, right? That would be a recommendation. That doesn't mean it's gonna happen. It's a recommendation from this group to the planning board, and the planning board adopts it. And the planning board has to go through town meeting. Town meeting gets the final say.
23 years was when I moved here.
I mean, I would think on some level, do we have in our problem to recommend changes in the zoning law?
Yeah, that's what the purview is of this group. And some of the things are gonna be recommending zoning changes, some of the things are gonna be recommending, you might say, let's promote ADUs. Let's put it out there in our newsletter, twice a year that ADUs is an option in this town, and explain what ADUs are, something like that. Like, you can do things like that. That's kind of that low-hanging fruit I was talking about. Those are things that the community could do if it wanted to, or make a pamphlet that's available throughout the community about ADUs. Is ADUs right for you and your family? Stuff like that. I mean, these are very low-hanging fruit, very easy things to do. All right, let's move on to the other 3, because we do have, we are up against the time crunch, but I have a feeling that was going to be the one that would take the longest. This next one, I'm not gonna lie, this was difficult for me to come up with. This was you guys put me to the task. This is a challenging one to come up with, topics and how to frame this one.
I think this one is gonna be easier for the people that are in this group, though, to think of ideas to lower costs, because that's something that everybody has experienced. So I think it'll be an interesting discussion, but I don't think it'll be as difficult to educate people.
No,
And I
the
think
question
that
is
all
gonna be suggestions that we can actually do something about.
Right.
everybody's got suggestions.
Right.
Drink less lattes, you know, like whatever, I always tell kids, whatever they tell kids to do whenever they're crying broke. But what can the town do, right? That, I agree with you. This is a little bit easier to understand and grasp, because it's very relatable, but, that's where I found the challenge is, what does the town actually control that we can influence? We don't control interest rates, you know?
But we can, there are some, every week or every month, when the select board meets, they abate for elderly, so there are things we're doing already.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not familiar with that.
I am.
Okay.
The elderly tax exemption,
Yeah,
so yeah.
so we, I mean, in other words, there are concrete things that are being done right now.
Sure.
And there's a veterans tax credit, so.
Yep.
So
Well, that's a good question as to, can the town, should the town look at other options for tax rebates, something like that? I don't wanna get into taxes, cause that'll take over the whole conversation, but maybe if you say that Steve, you're saying that there's rebates in Nottingham for elderly and veterans?
Yes.
That-
Well, it's a state RSA that the
Oh,
town's
yeah.
adopted.
Oh, okay, so it's nothing that unique to Nottingham.
No. And it needs to be within certain income levels. And
Right.
So it's being done already, that's.
All right, so the ones that I talked about, we talked about lowering childcare costs by opening up our regulations for that use. Maybe if a person wants to do that, they don't have to pay the permit fee to apply for it, or it's a reduced fee. Maybe it's reduced property taxes. If they have a big parking lot, maybe the town agrees to plow the parking lot, something like that, just to keep their costs low, which could then be passed on.
Well, one of the things they could do is, the town could subsidize, after-school programs for kids. I mean, that would lower their expenses.
I had thought about that, but that seemed like a bold proposal. If you guys want me to include something like that, I'm happy to put it in there. I did say, can the recreation department offer before and or after school programs to help with childcare costs? Which is kind of getting to what you were alluding to.
I think that, can you hear all the time?
They already do.
The choice, the
They already
expense
do.
of kids.
Yeah.
Well, do they do
Not
it
before.
Not a before.
Yeah, just
but
after.
After.
They don't offer it to all children though. It's only children that can, like neurotypical children that are okay. I have a
No,
list of them.
the towns, the rec department is, I mean,
But it's not
open to-
accessible to all children, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
I just know a lot of children that have been kicked out or have needs, so
Well,
it's not for kids
yeah,
with
it's not a,
IEPs or
it's not, I mean,
504s.
it's not covered by IDEA or anything, but
Right.
it is it's open to everybody in town. It's just whether it's accessible because, if a child needs
If they have-
special care that they can't
Right.
offer without extra costs, then yeah, if it becomes cost prohibitive.
Okay. That might not be a specific question, but it could definitely be part of my prepping the staff member, put it out there, see what people have to say. I put it in the wrong spot. One of the other things was offering,
I think last thing on that one too is that it's full too. It gets full, so there's a lot of people that haven't been
Yeah, I
able to
mean,
get in.
Would we love to have a humongous facility and be able to, get all
I don't
that
think the
in
rec
there.
department is doing anything wrong. I'm saying we're not serving all of our
Yeah,
town
no, that's what I
currently.
mean, like,
Yeah.
we'd love to have something even bigger, they would
Yeah.
love to do that,
Yeah.
but we don't have the facility big enough, but I think if we did, they would have even more people
Yeah.
there, like, it's really a
A
great
need.
program and
What's
it's a
the
big
whole
need.
back of this building being done? What's back there?
We're gonna put 4 apartments back there, multi-use.
What's that?
ADUs.
I like that.
You said 4 apartments, multi-use.
It's being slowly eroded.
That is it's gonna cost money, whatever we do, and
Right,
it's a challenge just running through our budget with what we've got right now, so in the more, it's gonna take a warrant article and more money, so, but we have to figure out what we can do back there. But
And they have been expanding, I mean, they've been getting bigger and bigger, and they've, expanded place, because they know that they need, there's a need out there, it's just hiring the people and, getting the space, and it's a challenge, I think, so.
Well, when my kids were little, I lived in Bow, and they had three childcare centers in the town. One was in the church, and one was in the town hall, literally, and one was a Montessori private one. So our kids went to the town one, which was great because they met all the other kids in the whole town there. But and it was a little bit more affordable because they didn't really pay any rental space for that space, like back here maybe. But but the people did pay for that. I mean, if you brought your kids there, it wasn't free.
Yeah, neither is this one.
Yeah.
And there are other programs in town and stuff like that, but I think, that's what I think that's the point of this, is to talk about some of that and have people talk about other things that they do or brainstorm ideas and things like that.
So like the other two ideas were reducing application fees for different types of specific types of homes that we want to encourage, like an ADUs, or a starter size homes, things like that. We have building permit fees. You also have they now charge my time back, and they charge the third-party engineer's time back. This isn't necessarily directed at large-scale, 20-unit subdivisions. It's more like smaller-scale people that are doing 2 and 3 units. So that is something that the town does control. And then the last one was farm stands, or direct-to-customer retail at agricultural facilities, or like a co-op type of grocery store. That's a little bit more involved, but maybe you could offer town reduction in town fees or something like that. If something comes in that's has a community benefit.
What about something like a shared ride option? Parking where you could put your car and share a ride with somebody else, but making that available, or providing mass transportation from point A to point B on a daily basis, because our original survey found that many people who live here don't work here. And so if we could reduce their cost of getting from here to where they work, that would fit under that heading, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. You could probably designate some spots like at the town hall lot here. Say this is the ride share lot. And then you could have a sign up, or people could write their names or something like that. It can be very a low touch type thing, because they can get very involved. I've seen these ride share programs, but I imagine there's going to be a huge demand. But you could make it available.
Well, it's an idea, and
It is.
see if it
Maybe
works.
they're
absolutely
available for the parking, that they could get reduced, like current use fees or something. I mean, just because there's not spaces for people to park. I mean, that's a huge issue in town, is parking for all of our things. So maybe that's something we could talk about here when we're talking about reduced fees and things like that.
Yeah, I think that the rideshare option is something I can dream up. The parking issues, if you can think of a way to tie it back to a housing cost, like an event not having enough parking is, I don't think it's something that we want to address here.
Yeah, no, that's not what I
But
was saying.
if there's an idea that you can think of, or a way to frame it, then I'm all ears on that one.
Okay, one of the ways you can do it, I've seen some towns do it, is for example, let's say a lot of people in town work in Manchester. They can facilitate a van that everyone chips in and buys, and the van goes every day to Manchester.
Yeah. I'll put it on there.
I mean, this may be.
I think the scale of Nottingham is going to be limited. The number of people that need to go to Manchester every day, the same time of day, it's going to be limited. But I could put it in there as an option. explore rideshare options.
Okay,
You know, could
yeah,
be something-
I've seen it
Could
done.
be something, so maybe I take it more broadly.
I was in Worcester and a number of people chipped in.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, that's called the public bus and it's, like, yeah, I mean, we've got examples but when you start to get to smaller scales, it becomes very, very, basically impossible to have fees cover the service. Okay, cool. That was a great suggestion. Anybody else?
Nope.
All right. These last two deal a little bit more with the natural resources side. So this has got, all right, this first one is where, why, and what are your top ranking natural resources and resource areas, habitats, recreation areas, farms, lakes, rivers, whatever it might be. Where do you like to go? And so this is more based on experience. So what in town do you like and why, and where is it? So it's like, what do you do there? Why do you like it?
And I can tell you this.
Why it's important to you?
I can tell you that potentially is controversial, because one of the problems we've had is we've got a beautiful town beach, but it's inaccessible. So, I mean, if you.
But they could use it this summer, Steve.
I was thinking of this one and thinking, like you're saying that that's more like recreation, but when I think of natural resources, I think of those like water quality, air quality, temperature regulation, flood and drought mitigation, so like the ecosystem services. So I don't feel like this captures
The whole
that.
entity, no.
Yeah.
Okay, what would be a better way to frame it, or what would be a better way to address that? Or like, how can we build an exercise around?
Ecosystem.
Yeah, like I guess I was thinking of if it's educational and then, but then also like what people think about or worry about in balancing housing with ecosystem services in town and our natural resources that provide those.
Okay.
I know I'm not being very clear, but
Well, our question 2 on the survey.
that's what I'm wondering, yeah.
Please rank each according to the priority. The ecosystem service benefits you enjoy from Nottingham's natural resources, from 1, the highest, to 2, the lowest. And we have water quality, air quality, temperature regulation, biodiversity, endangered, threatened species, and species of special concern, flood, drought mitigation, wetlands, and vernal pools.
Okay.
We could do something like that.
Yeah.
I think is a tabletop exercise though, that I like number 3, because it's something that people can come and go do, like, and sit in a group and, or look at a map and think like, oh yeah, these are the places here that I really
Yeah.
enjoy using, and this is why, you know, and if they're putting ranking like areas in town, and you might get a good sense from the people that are there, why those areas are important to them. So the survey can be used, right, for
Like a map,
different, that
yeah.
purpose, like you were saying, but for this exercise, that might be a way to, get away from just talking about just housing and things like that, and talk a little bit more about the natural resources that are available in town and why people like certain things that, why
I
they
agree with
I
that.
feel like it
One
like
of the things you could-
reduces natural resources to like, I like to visit there.
Okay, one of the things you could do is, I think they could have some maps and a trail map.
Yeah, I mean, this is gonna be a map-based. I'm gonna come in with a town-wide map and ask people to indicate with sticky notes on the map, answering these questions. That was the idea.
Don't think it gets to the public health needs that we have for natural resources.
I mean, all right,
I just don't think that that's why people,
I-
that's
so
the
it-
mindset that people are gonna have.
we're not gonna, but you're not suggesting that we ask the same thing that you're asking in the survey.
No, it was just a thought. I think that's what she was thinking, right?
That we need to incorporate the ecosystem services into this, like, this is supposed to be housing and natural resources, and this is all housing, and then place on the map where you like to go. Like, that's not that doesn't represent natural resources and what they do for Nottingham, for our health. and
I mean,
future.
the second one, the fourth one is about rural character, so it's a balance of housing and natural resources conversation.
I just think we can do a better job with those two questions, yeah.
All right, I'm gonna need some help, here, so
Yeah.
what do you got?
If we have, what does rural character mean to you in our survey, how do you define rural character? Maybe it's more of a generative discussion around how do you think that Nottingham can balance housing or growth with water quality, air quality, and like go down that list and have questions and input around what people's thoughts are around how to balance or improve or steward water quality, air quality, temperature regulation, flood and drought mitigation.
So what are some okay, I hear what you're saying. What are some example answers that a layperson would provide that would help us out here in writing this report?
Let's say about water quality, because I'm like, all right, well, how do we get everybody here in the town to go, hey, let's talk about water quality and what this means to me and my family, and
It's
what
one of
does
the
that,
most
what does that
basic
mean?
things that we need to live. So
I mean,
it
water
should
quality,
be, yeah.
I think I could come up with 7.
Yeah.
You know, talk to landscapers, tell them to switch to organic fertilizers or not use fertilizers. I mean, there are things that you can do. But I mean, air quality and temperature, help me out. I'm not saying, I need to envision how this
Flood
would
and
play.
drought mitigation is an easy one, so
Like, what would be a suggestions that a layperson would provide in a conversation like that?
I mean, they should be thinking about that, because we're.
Getting people thinking
Yeah.
about things is not the exercise. What we need to do is
We
extract
just
from people.
talked about that we're introducing these topics to get them thinking about mixed use and.
It's
other
part of it,
things,
but
yeah.
no, I want to hear people's feedback on what they think about, reduced fees for ADUs. The idea of tiny home communities, tiny home village within the community, allowing mixed-use structures. I want to get their feelings and their vibe, if you will.
What question would we ask somebody to say, what do you think Nottingham should do about temperature change? You brought up temperature change.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder, my mother lives in Lowell, Massachusetts, and it's always 15 degrees hotter there. So, we enjoy reduced temperature here because of green space and forest cover. So how can we maintain that in Nottingham?
I think number 3 is kind of good as is. I think there's enough of 20 minutes there.
So the idea would be that if I get people's locations, then we can do like a cool heat map afterwards of like where people were talking about, like where the areas that they like. And I think that begins to inform, like, okay, people are kind of saying this spot right around here is where they like to go or something they'd like to see or experience. Maybe housing goes over here, right? Getting the feedback and then sort of mapping these things, you begin to see, how your citizens view your community and where they view it. That's what I was envisioning with that question number 3.
I was saying replace number 4 with something that gets to the ecosystem services.
Oh, okay, number 4. I
We already
thought
have
that was the one that I had to ask.
Well, I like 4 though. I think 3 would be, all right,
Can we
people
have a
start to
5th?
express themselves.
I can't guarantee I'm gonna find a 5th person for a 5th table. If you want to lead
Yeah,
I-
I would.
the
yeah.
Like, I think you'd be
conversation.
most comfortable leading that conversation because you seem very familiar with it.
But what about this? No,
Be happy
I think
to.
we can accomplish all things if we add something to this, like, okay, we got top ranking natural resources or areas. And then ask people, what are these natural resources? And just go around the room, natural resources. Let them say.
It says
Water.
right in it, why is
Let
it
them
important
say
to you?
animals, yeah. And then, why are these important to you? Let them say it, don't us tell them. And then pick out where on this map you are able to enjoy or value these resources, or where we should work to preserve these resources. And then we get to question 4. about preserving our rural character, which is really resource rich, and housing. And let them then bring it all together.
I think that's
So-
gonna generate a lot of
I
discussion.
like that, Mary.
Ask people what are the important, I'm sorry, I drew a blank. How did you frame that again?
All right, well, all right.
Sorry, I tried to take notes.
What natural resources of Nottingham, okay, I can't say it exactly the same way again, are the most important to you? What are these natural resources that you value that comprise Nottingham? And then let them say it.
And where should we expand them? I think you added to there.
Let them do that, and then say, why are they important to you? And then we look on this map that you're going to provide and say, where are these resources located? Where are you able to see these resources, utilize these resources, whatever?
Yeah, and maybe you can't even access them. And
That's right.
And that's part of the brilliance of it, you know? Maybe some of these things are, you know, just things that we need to conserve and not access. But, yes, where are they located? Where are these things that you like?
And then bring in expansion.
If threatened and endangered species are a part of that, putting a dot on a map thing, we should leave that off of that exercise, just because that's counter to, you know,
Yeah.
you don't put the location where you've seen threatened and endangered species
Okay,
in the town
all right, I gotta make a note on that one.
and, you know, send it out to the public type thing. So-
Yeah,
Well,
don't,
people
could not
can
include-
say our threatened species
Yeah,
are
that
awesome.
can be, that should be part of the, you know, options that people can value in town, but when we get to the mapping part of it,
Yes.
it can be
no, good point.
opposite effect to put dots on a map where threatened and endangered species are at.
Yep, no, good point, good point.
Good point.
All right, are we getting closer?
Closer, yeah, I guess, yeah.
All right,
All right, you have rural character in 4. What is that?
That's what they're gonna tell us.
That's the $100
because I think it's,
million
I
Is
think
that
it's
Chris
different.
opening up a can of worms at 8:07
We
PM?
wrote our vision, town vision about
What is
having
what does rural character
I
mean?
think a
That's what we're
discussion
gonna
around that
get
is
from
gonna
the,
be
this is an
rich.
ongoing, let's not dig into this right now.
Yeah.
Nobody
This
knows.
is,
I would assume not have this, but, you know, it's been brought up enough.
I think it's
gotta
a
go.
worthwhile discussion topic to get people, you know, to
Yeah.
get the community's input on what it is, but we should also be very aware that it's gonna mean different things all over the board to a lot of different
That's
people, I'm
good, but
sure,
that's
so.
that's why we're doing it.
And I
Yeah,
think that's-
exactly.
and I
It's
think
good
that's
to-
what's a key, is identifying what it is, where it is. And again, it produces a heat map of where these places are valued. Where do we experience them? How do we experience them? We might notice patterns. I'm almost guaranteeing we're gonna see patterns. So,
I guess in your, cause you're giving an update on housing and natural resources in your presentation. So what, does your presentation include impacts because of drought and climate change and, you know, mixed, you know, housing development, residential and commercial on natural resources like water quality, air quality, temperature regulation and stuff like that? I guess that would make me feel better if we had a,
Maybe that can be a discussion after we do the survey. You know, that this is an
but he's
intro.
presenting, I guess I wanna know what are the trends at, like, are you covering those trends like drought? That was a huge one for our region this year. So are you covering, like, what are you covering in the trends of natural
I
resources?
haven't written it. It was gonna be driven a lot by what was covered in the previous housing and natural resources chapters.
Cause
you know-
flooding costs money for us, like, and that can be solved by appropriately sized culverts or like looking at how we build roads from here on out, and that can be
Where did you see
included.
flooding in Nottingham?
But we have
A
it.
lot of road
Yeah, we have-
issues.
We have flooding out here.
Right here in the,
We've
Just a
replaced
year
the
ago,
town field
we
like
lost the
3
whole
times
baseball
in the
field.
past 20
There's the
years.
road, Stevens Hill, that's
that
being
right.
rebuilt
Yeah.
currently.
I think
Anyway,
I think what I have learned from the time that I've been here is that if I start getting too down the rabbit hole of data, I'm gonna not make friends. And it's been in this room, so I'm really just trying to stay as narrow on this as possible with looking at what's already there. Not, SRPC does a community profile for every community, based on, you know, a lot of census and ACS data, but also some of it comes from the state and the town itself. And then looking at housing and natural resources trends from the chapter, the master plan that we did, and just to today. What has happened? We've added X number of acres of conservation land. We've added X number of housing units. We've added X number of people. You know, some basic stuff like that. I don't think people get what 5,000 people means, right? I don't think people get what 1,000 housing units means and how many housing units we add per year. So just giving people a sense of this, so they understand scale and just sort of what's happened in the last 15-ish years, right? Yeah, 15-ish years. I can talk about some of these natural resource trends that you're alluding to about drought, because we do experience drought and it's well documented and well covered, but we have a hazard mitigation plan. We have other chapters. I'm hesitant to go down too much of a prescribed talk on these things.
I guess to date, a lot of the housing stuff has been like, there is a housing shortage, and like a lot of that stuff is coming from the whole state's evaluation of like what the housing needs are, but I'm not hearing a lot about like what the natural resources state and patterns and needs are. But I just want to make sure it's
But
equal.
there's no mention of housing shortage in this,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
So
And that wouldn't be put in your presentation.
yeah, I'm simply presenting the data that's been happening since then. So yeah, I don't.
I think you've got plenty of there for them. to
Yeah.
talk about.
I think 20-minute sessions, you're gonna more than fill.
Yeah,
What, in terms of getting feedback?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think we'll get a lot of good ideas as long as people come.
Yes, I think that's one of the key things. I think if you have enough, you have 6 people, 3 of them are talkers, 3 of them are listeners, but the 3 listeners will start talking once the other 3 start
But
talking.
sometimes you just can't, not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the airspace gets dominated. I hear what you're
That's
saying.
why the person who runs the group has a real responsibility to make sure everyone gets involved.
Right, and that's why professionals are gonna be handling them.
Yeah.
Yes, that's why we will be doing it.
Can we have like AI recorders?
Maybe I'll look. I mean,
Like a Zoom on a laptop,
Yeah.
just recording the sessions?
if it can be done easily, yeah, I can inquire about that.
We're gonna have to get permission from each participant that
Might be
they
tough in the
are
Zoom
okay to be
one with
recorded.
many
That many.
people.
Yeah.
That's the only thing, is I'm not sure, AI might get very confused and then trying to
Pick up
go through all of
words.
that.
It's
and-
it's gonna.
Yeah, that's, I mean, the most I'm gonna do something like that is just copy paste it into Copilot and say, give me a word cloud,
Right.
like that's,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do much with it. But if there's a way to do it, maybe for one of the sessions we can have it, if we think one of them really stands out. But
I'm just curious.
yeah, no, it's a good question. I'm kind of curious now myself.
Maybe
And I know
they-
the tech exists, but does it exist in an
All
accessible way?
you need is just a recorder. You
Yeah.
just need to feed your audio file into the whatever AI thing and ask it to spit out a transcript or a summary, and there are X number of speakers who are speaking, assign each of them an individual number or name, blah, blah, blah. And then you let it go and, use the power consumption equivalent to Puerto Rico to get it done.
Yeah,
And then you get your half truth out.
Thankfully, who said it is not relevant in this. It would just be getting the content, so it actually might work out. Like
Yeah,
in public
it does all
meetings,
right
you-
with transcriptions, so.
in
it could be
public
useful.
meetings, you need to know who said what. But I think in this case, it doesn't matter who said it. We just
Right.
need to
Just
know
the
who said it.
patterns or themes that
Yeah.
come out,
Here's
yeah.
ideas.
So just
Okay,
a
yeah,
simple
maybe
recorder
there is something there that we
Yeah.
could do. It'll come down to like the echo-ness of the rooms and stuff. Like you were saying earlier. It's
Again, you have to have permission to record people.
I did run the part of the survey, one of the survey questions through an AI, and to say what are the main topics here, and the key points, and it was actually quite brilliant
Oh, wow.
in what it pulled out of there and summarized. So
And there, if you think it would be helpful, we could see if we can use like this room and the other meeting room.
Yeah,
Or
I mean, I
kitchen.
don't wanna waste time corralling people from room to room,
Okay.
but I hear you.
Yeah.
Let's keep it in the back burner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ken, you've only got, when we did it before, we had many more groups and it was loud, but it's a pretty big gym if you go to the four corners.
Yeah, I think we should be fine. But, all right. So that was it for me. If you have, oh, and then at the bottom, you gotta send me some examples of rural character, because I'm gonna show people pictures. You need to send me some examples of what you think, because this is gonna be a visual preference survey.
I'll show you pictures of the lake.
Well, yeah, whatever it means to you. Try to get the obscure stuff. Don't get the stuff that's obvious. Try to get the stuff that, people might not think of.
Take a
Even if you
picture.
don't agree with it, but you think someone else might, just send it to me.
A couple of weekends ago, we were doing our Historical Society Voices from the Grave. And comments were for the rural character, the aroma of cow manure from across the room. And then the year before, comment of rural character was the sound of the corn being chopped.
That's
So there are
interesting.
many things.
Are those real quotes?
What?
Are those real quotes?
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, those are real.
Hilarious.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah. You heard them, right, Steve? We were there.
The waft of manure. I got
The
her.
wafting of the aroma of the manure.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Nice.
When are we planning our next meeting?
All right, so that is the last thing.
Because we
There's
were
no
at
public
the
comment, so
square
we're good.
in Fernald's Farm.
Um,
Exactly.
The times, what did he say? Community workshop is November 8th. I don't think we need I don't need a meeting. I know what I need to do to get this up and
No,
running.
you're
But do
ready.
you guys feel like I need a meeting
No,
before November 8th?
no.
Okay, so then that means, we could do something, at the end of November or in December. I think we should have one more meeting by the end of the year, because after this exercise, or this workshop, it's basically, we have completed what we need to do for the housing chapter as far as outreach engagement. The natural resources will not be completed until the spring. But I need to pivot to start pulling this stuff together and start writing you a master plan chapter so that I can come back and get reactions from all of you. That will not happen in November, December, I can assure you, but I do need to start pulling things together. You guys can meet. I could meet as well. What are you thinking? What do you all?
Well, my gut feeling is that we will have some reactions. I'd like to meet early, meaning what we gain on November 8th, we should be able to talk about and process.
That would be good.
After that, yeah.
How
Yeah,
about on November 19th, we have it be a meeting where we kind of discuss some of what happened on the 8th, but also have it be kind of a work night, so we can get together in our committees and do some of our actual writing and drafting, like maybe half and half. Because I know it's hard for us to all kind of get together, so maybe we work for half an hour and talk about the meeting, and then half an hour, 45 minutes, and work in our groups and do some crossing out and writing down and getting together. Wanna do that?
That is fine, but I will.
You won't be there.
I will not be there for
Yeah,
that.
but
It's a lot for me to get here, so but I can send you
Said you would-
follow-up information. I can send you what I have quickly grabbed from the workshop and assembled, and I could send it to you for you all to look at and for you to bat around and talk about what you liked, what you didn't like, things like that.
So in terms of the people here, is November 19th, Wednesday, okay?
He said Wednesday. We've usually done Tuesdays. Is Wednesday 19th okay? Is Tuesday 18th something else?
Sometimes we have planning board.
We have
meetings.
zoning,
yeah,
I
the
think,
week
some
before.
Tuesday
It's in
nights.
between planning.
Well, the 19th is good for
The
me.
19th works for me.
Yeah, 19th works for me.
Wouldn't work for me, but that's okay.
You have to be here to work
Yeah,
on that
yeah.
chapter, that's the whole point.
What about
That's
the
why I
18th?
can't.
What about the
I
18th?
could do the 18th.
18th is good for me.
When
I could
does
do the
zoning
18th
meet?
too.
Is it the second Tuesday? I don't know.
But this is the third Tuesday.
Okay, and we would have met tonight. Okay, so it was the third, we're probably
Yeah, the
fine then.
18th is a third Tuesday.
Wanna do the 18th instead?
Yeah.
Maybe Dirk could come to that one.
You're talking about the 18th?
Okay, so Tuesday, November 18th, 6 PM. All right, I will pass that message on to Dirk.
Just a minute though. If zoning meets the 18th, you can't use this room.
I thought you said it did.
I thought they weren't,
They weren't
but
meeting.
it was the second, is it the
I
third Tuesday
just
that they
looked
meet?
at the calendar and isn't the second Tuesday Veterans Day?
No, that's November.
Yeah, we're talking about
Yeah,
November.
we are talking
Oh, yeah.
about November.
You're right.
December.
It might,
Oh, okay. I didn't see that.
Oh,
on
is
my
that why?
calendar.
So that if they're putting it off to the third?
That's what we do with conservation. We just put it to the next week if it's a holiday.
what about the 25th? It's getting the week of Thanksgiving, but is that,
I can't do that.
no?
So who's on the zoning board here?
Mary.
Oh, okay.
And
Kevin?
And Dirk.
Kevin, yeah,
How about Monday?
Do you have anything on the agenda, or do you know?
What is not meeting?
we never know until a certain date. You know, there's a cutoff date.
Right.
And so we just found out 2 days ago, no, we don't need to meet this time.
Yeah. What about the Monday, the 17th?
That's the Board of Selectmen meeting.
How about the 10th? No, it's too close.
24th?
24th is
Monday the
okay with me.
24th?
Works for me.
I can't do this. I can't do that week,
Okay.
Thanksgiving week.
I got ideas. You have 5.5 minutes to solve this problem. Before we all
Well,
turn
do we have
right.
to meet in this
What did
room?
we say
all
about the
turn to
19th?
pumpkins. No,
Can
we do not.
Dirk send out a Google poll?
He can, I guess I would like
Are
to
we
get some
open on the
suggestions that I could send to him.
If we don't have to meet in this room, we could potentially see if we could have room 2 across the
Or
way,
the kitchen?
or the kitchen,
For which night?
for the 18th,
Okay, we just would be without you potentially.
potentially.
Ken.
But I'm an alternate,
And Dirk.
so if he's got the quorum, I don't have to be there.
And you
Okay.
can't be there the 18th either.
So we're talking
No, the
about
18th I
back
can
to
do.
the
I think we had
18th.
one meeting where Kevin was running back and forth.
Yeah. All right, so we'll set it for the 18th. Okay, that's what we'll do. We'll set it for the 18th. And I will note that the meeting room will need to change.
I just have a quick question. Is there a flyer or anything for the November 8th workshop that I missed? So
Yeah, I sent it around. I'll send it again unless he does it right now.
I put 3 of them up at school.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a very simple flyer. It just gives the information, yeah.
And we
So-
meet at 6?
And Kristen, I
Yes.
did not get the September 15th. I looked in my email, so I did not get that. Did you send it to?
You were on.
Tim just sent it.
Just resent
just
it.
sent it
resent
again, and you're
around
on
to
that
the
one
group
too.
Again, so
We're on both.
The natural resources?
the
Yeah.
survey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just resent
This
it
is out,
tonight.
so you should have
Okay,
a fresher-
I
You were
had
on
not
the
received it
original.
previously, so.
You were on that, so I don't know what
What,
happened there.
what do you show for an email address? Or-
Let's see.
The thing is, it doesn't say, it says like, it doesn't, like, one of them's from Mary, and it says it's something about canceling the other meeting, so you might think that it's not it. You have, like, if you open it up and you look, because it's a thread that we started because the other meeting got canceled, and so the subject of the email says like,
Well, I looked
And it
at
was
all my
canceled.
emails on the 15th, and
That's
there was
weird.
0, nothing there, so,
Or did you get the one I just
There's
sent
no
them?
regular problem with you, young man. You know that, right?
It's
Stuff from
tech-
Nick,
Yeah.
stuff from Nick, stuff from me. This is a regular thing.
technology
There we go,
things.
Chris.
Well, I think it's user error at this point.
Great.
All right, thanks, everybody.